again, I'm judging people not on their words but by their actions, and their actions tell me that there is far too much collusion between government and big business.
We saw that investigation by the European Central Bank into banks in Europe that were using cloud-based solutions as opposed to having their own servers, and the vulnerability people are feeling in that.
Well, the word vulnerability, exactly right. Like people are vulnerable for cyber attack, having their money stolen, all that sort of thing. Governments interfering and saying, you know, what you can and can't spend your money on. You know, there's another picture to this. Of course, the social credit score.
I'm in a dispute with a bank at the moment, right? And I've had to take it further than I would prefer to do so. The amount of information they've got on you is huge.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And they've got every phone call that you've ever done.
Yeah.
They've got all your PIN, password, local confirmations,
Sure.
all stored. Imagine that being hacked into.
You think about how often MyGov has issues in being hacked and that kind of thing, right? The government own and hold so much of our information. Like you said, the institutions, the banks themselves hold a ridiculous amount of data about us. I mean, I understand that we're in a world of technology. I understand that, you know, things are different to what they were, you know, not that long ago. But, okay, I still think we have a fundamental right to privacy and fundamental right to decide what we spend our own money on.
And it's not like the consumer was given the right to choose their privacy utilising the bank. I remember when they were pushing online banking back in the day, and you'd have a lady standing out in the front, the foyer, saying, you're trying to investigate, trying to reduce the line, basically.
Sure.
Investigate who could do what and what they needed and move clients through.
Yep.
Well, there was a huge push for a few years there. Well, you know you can do this online.
Yeah,
you know you can do this online. I'm sitting there thinking, what, at the expense of your job? Right?
Yeah. You were advocating to say goodbye to your own position.
And obviously she or he was doing their job to do that. But now you've got these issues of privacy. You've got these issues of security.
Sure.
And, of course, we've got AI on the scene now. We've got quantum computing on the horizon.
We do.
And the banks are wanting to up the level. But it's like, well, hang on. Everybody's going, we didn't sign up for this. And there is, as you said, as I've suspected for a long time, the government's pushing on the banks to actually do their work for them in terms of policing.
And look, it's clever. And we saw this through the Wu flu, all right, where we've seen the government using all the industries, all the tech companies, right, to what they're doing. And they've moved liability away from themselves. Like, for instance, if you had a government job, you were not forced to get the jab, okay? Because, of course, they wouldn't want the liability of what might happen in the future.
So, of course, at the moment they've got questions, warnings and delays when transferring to someone new for the first time. That's going to continue, and I can only see that getting worse and harder to move your money around. I've talked about sovereignty in the past in terms of some level of sovereignty in terms of using these assets as currency. How the banks know they're in a powerful position.
Of course they do.
There's only 4 major ones, and then there's some smaller alternatives within Australia. And they also are in a vulnerable position because it's so regulated, their industry, they don't, of course, want to lose their licenses. And what we're seeing, getting back to your point of the government pushing their point, is they're starting to do that. The government's starting to do this on accountants and lawyers on the Know Your Client rules, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, particularly in a law firm, where the whole reason somebody goes to a lawyer is for them to represent them and not police them. They're supposed to have that level of confidentiality between the attorney-client privilege that is now being encroached upon. And I think we've got to start, as a society, really taking a hard look at this and going, look, yes, obviously everybody wants, you know, their information protected online. They don't want to be hacked into. But how far is too far? Where is the line?
Right now, we are too far. Okay, I'm sorry, we've crossed that line. This has been an absolute attack on, you know, I hear this just especially when I listen to the American, all the talk of the American elections. This is an attack on democracy and whatever, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. I'm telling you right now, there is an attack on democracy, and it is coming from within the government, right? And it's not just our government, it's the US government, you know, I mean, it is. And let's, again, be very, very, very plain about this. Okay, I'm trying not to be partisan, because I'm a believer in I vote for the party who best represents me. So I do chop and change. I don't actually I'm not a life voter for one particular party. I vote on the issues and the people and so forth.
And parties change.
Spot on, they do. You know, many, many years ago, people thought the Labor Party was the party of the people, and it's clearly far from that. It's a socialist party, and quite frankly, you know, it's in their manifesto. This is what they're about. Now, right across the world, every party that has effectively a socialist base or has that sort of, whether we're talking about, you know, the Democrats in the US or whether we're talking about Labour in Australia, it sounds like we've got the Shack Attack, which is fantastic. But wherever, good to hear from you, mate. I just want to throw that it seems to be a particular side of politics which we traditionally would see as, or a lot of people would see as a freedom side of politics, is far from it. It seems to be the side of control, the left, which is all about control.
It is, and what we were discussing in another show, Freedom Fridays, and we've looked at the pattern where people are pushing back.
Absolutely,
and people are demanding more. And I think what we've failed, particularly in Australia, is we give in far too easily on our freedoms and our rights. I find it interesting when you actually do resist and you actually do stand up. Now, you know, it's hard not to get emotional, but if you do it by the game and play the game they want, they sometimes don't know what to do with you. They just really, really don't. And I think that's what we've got to realise. Money is a game.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole system is a game. Politics is a game. But
It's a scoreboard.
Look, I'll just say one quick thing without getting bogged down in details. You make the comment, Aaron, and yes, our viewers can hear us. You make the comment that Aaron, you know, that it's the left that is sort of wanting all this power. Now, you know, I turned 40 in just over a month, but you know, as a late teenager, early 20s something, there was all these documentaries by Michael Moore, and there was all these conspiracy theories about 9/11, and it made the right look pretty bad, especially we're talking about America.
Certainly did.
George Bush didn't look great. And look, I'm not going to say that he had some involvement in 9/11. I don't think that would be the case. I think 20 years later we would know about it if it was true. But what I will say is when it comes to something like the justice system and police reform, what happens when we get the right in charge is they just go ridiculously stupid in the other direction, right? They start, you know, like look at stop and frisk in New York, or look at what they're doing at what they did in New South Wales under the Liberal Party, where they said if you invoke your right to remain silent, that can be used as an indication of your guilt in a court of law. Hang on a minute, insane. What? And Western Australia tried doing that too. So when the Liberals finally get back in power in 5 centuries from now in Western Australia, they will no doubt go the complete opposite direction and become the sort of right-wing authoritarianism sort of government. And that's the problem. That's why I come across as being a bit more off a lefty sometimes. And then to other people, I seem like I'm a hard right-winger. I don't trust any of them. I don't like any of them.
And you're right to feel that way. Yep.
I think that's the best comment to name any of the different political spectrums as true and correct.
I always hear this. People say left wing, right wing. Let's face it, they're both on the same bird, and that is so true. Okay, unfortunately, whatever side of politics you fall on, these people don't have your best interest at heart. These people are supposed to be public servants of the people, and they actually see it the other way. They see it, and certainly, I don't judge them on their words. I judge them on their actions, and their actions are totalitarian, quite frankly.
Well, I've also challenged the banks that you guys need to push back.
Damn right.
You need to push back.
But hang on. But how can they? Because they have to justify it to their shareholders, right? And if they push back, then the government will push on them. Or what's okay? We've seen just with the yes vote situation.
Would they, Aaron? Because there's only 4 major ones in Australia.
Okay, I'll go with that. Let's take the airlines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look what just happened with the airlines, okay? Qantas has been given the little golden handshake all the way, right, through stopping Qatar Airways from coming and doing the routes and all that kind of thing, right? Because of an absolute behind-the-school shed kiss deal between Anthony Albanese and
Alan Joyce.
Alan Joyce, right? Okay?
Unbelievable. My name was right for him.
Yes, it certainly was. But, okay, I'm telling you right now, these deals are damaging to Australia, and that's happening with the banks as well. I'm certain of it. Now, do I have evidence? No, again, I'm judging people not on their words but by their actions. And their actions tell me that there is far too much collusion between government and big business.
So one thing, I'm going to quickly jump in here because I didn't get a chance to do this outside because I was dealing with tech issues. But as a lot of people are probably aware, I've been crazy sharing a heap of shit online over the last couple of days. Yes, Aaron had a fire. Yes, he lost everything. Hence the reason why he's not wearing a super loud shirt, unlike Shaq. So I just wanted to get a heap of thumbs up, heart emojis, and all that sort of shit on the stream. For the people who are listening on the radio, they won't see this, but stiff shit, watch on Facebook. So it's just, I've got to give a shout out to Aaron for his courage in this situation. Literally less than a week ago, he lost everything, but he's already back in the studio doing what he needs to do to make sure that people have a voice. They're able to criticize the government for doing an absolute shithouse job, and he's not pulling his punches. And I also want to shout out to Shaq and Derek for actually helping support Aaron through everything they're going to, and also all the people that are online that have helped him out. And in particular, there is one guy, Chris Nolan, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who put together the GoFundMe account for Aaron. I think that's just absolutely amazing. So, sorry, just a bit of love in there for us. So
and some love to you, mate, because I tell you right now, although we tease each other constantly, I love you like a brother. Like,
one day you break your ass socket with.
Well, no, more again, if you watch the movie Rain Man, you'll understand our relationship. But no, seriously, I didn't want to actually talk about this in the show.
Too bad you're talking about it.
But thank you to everybody who has stepped up, everybody, amazing amount of love that I've received and help I've received. And I'm incredibly embarrassed about the GoFundMe, but like as much as I'm embarrassed of my work, I can't tell you how much I need it. Like I've just got nothing. And yeah, I'm out of words at the moment. I'll come up with them later.
Oh, that's rare for you to be out of words.
Yes.
I thought I was bad, but come on, that's nothing compared to...
But getting back on the horse and being back here at Edge and spreading this amazing thing called information, truth, and having integrity in what we believe in and believe in free speech, that is so important, and we just need to keep going no matter what.
Let me say this about your situation, Aaron, and I could say a lot, but I will say this to people who are listening. Freedom comes at a price.
It does.
So if you believe what Aaron's doing and want to support him because he's given his all for this station and for people like us, then get on that GoFundMe and support him, please, because he really could do with it right now. One, it's the Aussie thing to do. It's what we do in mateship. But secondly, he has sacrificed all, and freedom comes at a price. So this is a time for you to pay something to support him, and it's not for the station. It's going straight to his pocket because he needs it right now. So if you've enjoyed what we've broadcast in the past, or any broadcast that you've heard from Edge Radio or appreciate it appeared on there, I'm asking you to dig in and put your money where your mouth is and say, hey, I believe that freedom comes at a price, and I want to get behind this man and do it. So if you can put the GoFundMe page up there for people to do that, Travis, that would be really appreciated. It's gone on all
platforms, so that's been sent out there. We do still have Shaq in the room as well. He's just taking back seat for a moment because we need to do a bit of a love-in for Aaron. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't realise, the station costs money. I know we're being massive scabs. Don't care. Get over it.
It's come to the point where if people who believe in what this cause is for, they need to pay. And I'm just going to say that because freedom comes at a price. Aaron cannot keep doing this and presenting this on his own without some love back. And so I'm going, hey, guys, if you can, and it doesn't matter the amount. If it's $5, $2, whatever it is, this man needs it right now, and it's the Aussie thing to do. It's the human thing to do. But it's also it's just kindness, and we need to be kind right now.
We have had a message come through. You didn't know I was doing this, so don't care. Chris and I think Christy, Christian and Christy, they're actually in the Salvation Army kitchens at the moment with Edge Radio playing, rocking on. Well done, guys. Love it. So edgeradioaustralia.com if you do want to listen live as well. So anyway, back to the topics. Sorry about the gate crashing, but one final thing. If you do want to actually help the station as well, we do have a subscription model. I think it's like $3 a month or $10 a month is the Hey Big Spender and Scrooge McDuck plans. Also, we've got the free one. To be honest with you, we haven't put much effort into it. It's just to keep the lights on while we sort all the other crap out that's going on and dealing with little leprechauns. So if you can help us out, please also sign up, whether it's a free membership or whatever. It does help with algorithms and all that sort of jazz. So back to our regular broadcasting.
Yes, we have a mission. We have a mission. And you know what? This mission is all about humanity, all right? And the more of us who band together to make this happen, to keep free speech alive. In fact, let's not keep it alive. Let's make it healthy as hell.
Let's take it further.
Yep.
Let's listen. And look, I'm sorry, but money makes a difference, and it allows people to do things. And so the more that Edge Radio can have, the more it can serve you as a community to fight for your freedoms. It's simple as that.
Appreciate it.
And
right?
let's be honest, like $3 a month doesn't seem like a lot, but when you get 100 people doing $3 a month, all of a sudden there's your internet and some of your power.
And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids or your grandkids, because they'll benefit. The more people who are educated as to what is going on in this community,
Such a good point.
what is going on in society, don't do it for yourself. Do it for your future, all right? Because this is where it's at. And I'm asking you to do that now, unashamedly. It's time. If you've been listening for a while, it's time to get behind this man and Travis with the vision they have and support him any way you can.
I'm good at scabbing. So anyway, back to our regular broadcasting. We do have a guest all the way from Utah. No, he's actually, I'm pretty sure he's in New South Wales, Shaq. So let's get back to our topics. Derek.
Well, I do want to very quickly, sorry, if I can just wait, I just want to say something which is non-monetary. Don't put me up here by myself. I get lonesome here by myself. You leave me here deliberately, aren't you?
Of course.
I do want to say something, though, about the situation.
Hang on, just one moment, Shaq. One moment, Shaq. Shaq. Here's a couple of messages for you.
Oh, there we go. But I do want to say something in relation to what Aaron's going through, and I prefer to be on with him at the moment, if you don't mind.
Fine. Be that way then.
Not just the monetary help that he's received, but the outpouring of love that he's talked about, the messages he's got. I think he said that some random stranger bought him a doona and a couple of pillows. That is the Australia that I know. That is the Australian spirit that I know. And I'm pretty sure that everyone listening to our radio station would feel very similar to me on this. And that's why we have to stand up for our values and stand up for what we actually believe in. Don't let big media or, the big left organisations try to make you feel bad about being an Australian or feel guilty about achieving things in life or doing whatever it is that you're doing in life. Because the Australia that I know is a spirit of helping out your fellow person. Obviously, in this case, we know Aaron. But, if it was a person who lived down the street from me and I didn't know them at all, I'd still go over there with a bowl of food or a six-pack of beer or, a pair of shoes or something.
Always bring beer. Always.
Yeah, the beer always helps, right? But that's the spirit of this nation. And although Qantas has sort of taken that for themselves, Australians are still Australians. And this is still a fantastic country. And that goes for Americans and Canadians and New Zealanders and, most of the people in Europe. We are all human beings. We are great, beautiful people. And just don't let anyone take it away from you, no matter what they say or do.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
And I have to say, out of all of this, I hate mainstream media with a passion, but I have to say, shout out to Christopher Tan from SBS, of all places. Yeah. I've just had a message from Rebecca. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this one. Pepiat from the WA Today. Yeah. She did an amazing article, just put it all out there. Everything that Aaron said, just chucked it all up, which was great.
It was wonderful.
Even the ABC covered you.
Heavily edited, but they did.
Heavily edited, given. Channel 9 even came out, saw you. These guys actually, I think the corporate side of these major news article companies are where the problem is. I think the reporters, they're just trying to make a living. They're trying to get the messages out. And I have to say, I'm really impressed that, especially with Chris, he from SBS.
Yes.
I commonly call SBS sex before soccer because that's growing up. That's all it ever was. You'd watch this. There'd be some blue movie on at 8:30 that have the soccer, and that was it. So it's just one of those things. It's really great seeing WA reporters sort of bucking the trend for the last 3 years, being super. And you got to remember, this is the guy that stood in front of 60, 70,000 people to fight the mandates. And now these guys are actually reporting them and actually saying good stuff about Edge. They're actually saying the founder of Edge Radio instead of going, the face of the anti-vax movement and all that sort of crap. So it's really great seeing the change of tone that they're using towards it. And that's what I really like.
Good stuff.
I will say I've actually met, I've met and know very well reporters for some of the major Australian newspapers. I won't say any more than that. And I know reporters and upper management actually in some of Australia's biggest media companies. And I know that they've got all sorts of other pressures that are on them. And when you sit down and talk with them, what I found most fascinating is I can actually have a good conversation with somebody whose politics I don't agree with, right? Who just has totally opposite views to me on all these sorts of things. But that doesn't mean that we should hate each other, and most of them don't. But I'm just not 100% sure where it comes from, where all of a sudden people just band together and then just become really vicious. But the people that I know that are, very hardcore leftists, that actually know what they're talking about too. So they're not people where I say, would you really know what socialism means? And these are people that actually know exactly what socialism means, what it represents, and would make a very good argument for it. I don't agree with them, with respect, but they make a very good argument for it. And I just can't imagine any of them being as vicious as what we see. And that's the same thing on the right. Obviously, I have a lot more conservative friends. And I don't see my conservative friends going out there with pitchforks. I mean, you think Derek's out there? I've introduced him to somebody who is definitely not a Christian. Well, we won't go any further than that. And Derek and her get along perfectly fine. He's not out there wanting to burn her at the stake, So out of some bad rendition of the Book of Leviticus. So I just think people need to just calm down a bit and let's get back to who we are as Australians.
Look, you know what? You can have friends of every persuasion, and I think it's important, no matter what, right? Okay, the old, walk away and be friends, shake hands, all that sort of stuff. But to have conversations with people you disagree with is healthy. It grows us as people. It changes our minds. It grows our opinions, and we can actually find solutions that way. If you stay in your fishbowl and you don't look out at these other opinions, you don't improve. You just don't grow.
I've just had an epiphany. You kept your hat.
Yes.
You saved the hat.
I saved the hat. No, I didn't save the hat. The hat was in the car. So,
doesn't matter. It's saved. Yep. So your identity is still there. You still have something of you left over. So that let's celebrate the small wins.
We shall.
And
and actually, well, okay. Let's go with that.
All right, but we actually do have a show.
We have a show. Let's do that.
So let's talk about the banks. Let's talk about these banks for a second. And I don't want to be like John Laws, and start saying complimentary things about the banks and get accused of, I promise you they haven't paid me yet. I'm working on it. But the problem with a lot of these regulations is, the banks they're stuck in the crossfire. And obviously they don't want to see more competition because there should be. There should be a lot more competition in the market. But they're sort of stuck in the crossfire of what people are telling government they want. So, for example, am I still here? So, for example, you don't want to see the banks allow tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be taken out of bank accounts of older Australians who maybe have fallen victim to a scam. So there's pressure on the banks to try to protect them to make sure that money they're sending overseas is legitimate. What do? That slows down the transactions, but it also puts a little bit of a safety net in. We don't want to see the banks getting involved in money laundering and, the proceeds of crime and all that sort of stuff. So they put processes in place. And if you don't have those, well, that may create a banking sector that we're not going to be very happy with. We're very, very lucky in this country that during the debacle in the US of the credit crisis in 2007, 8, and 9, our banks sailed through, coasted through pretty well. They didn't get massively affected like those banks in America.
That is very true.
So, there's positives and negatives. The negatives is that legitimate, honest people that are trying to just live their lives or set up small businesses, set up various foundations and just different things can often find themselves in a very, very difficult position. And most notably at the moment, I know Derek's talking about something else, but most notably is the gaming industry right now. Most people think of the big gaming industry as being, the big sports bet and Ladbrokes and the TAB and all that sort of stuff. But what about all those little guys that you used to be able to go to the big tracks at Randwick and you'd have, 500 bookies there on the rails, and now you don't. Now you've got 30 or 40. One of the things is that because the casino's screwed up and because of some of the bad behaviour of some of the bigger guys, these little bookies, that might just be a bloke that rocks up every Saturday to the races. He's got his license. He goes there with his bag and takes his bet. He's no longer able to access banking services. These are the people that get damaged. It's the small businesses. It's the mum and dad that want to set up a little coffee shop who have to jump through all these hoops. And that's where there's a lot of damage being done. And I think that is what you guys referred to before. It's the big corporates jumping in with government. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, by the way. I think that big corporates need to have some access to government. But what they shouldn't be able to do is to collude with government to try to protect themselves at the expense of everyday Australians who want to have their own small business. Because that is and should be the backbone of the Australian economy.
Well, the easiest way to look at it, small business is the number one employer for jobs in Australia. So it just really, and Shaq's not arc up on this one, I know he is, but it really infuriates me when Labor goes, oh, we're for the workers, and all their policies just absolutely screw over small businesses, and they just make things next to impossible, where the major corporations have the surplus funds to hire the lawyers, the admin staff, everything to wade through all the red tape to do what they need to do. Where small businesses, it's the actual person running the business is going, holy shit, how do I do this? Can I afford to pay someone to do this? Where's the next contract coming from? They don't, first of all, they don't have time to do that. They don't have the expertise to do that, and they get no help from the government to be able to wade their way through. And if, heaven forbid, they should make a mistake, all of a sudden they get slapped with massive fines and charges. And yes, Shaq, I do know I used to be a union rep, and it was an error on my part. It was an error on my part, and
we all have parts of our past we're ashamed
I didn't say, but
Yes.
I want to come to a very important point that you made there, though, and here comes Shaq, the progressive leftist, is on fire.
you need a green shirt, Shaq.
A lot of the things that the Labor Party claims to have stood for, and the unions claim to have stood for, actually makes sense, right? You want to make sure that there's health and safety rules in place.
Yeah.
Now, they can get really annoying, but actually, if you go to some other countries, especially the Asian countries that are more accessible to Australians, and you see people up power poles with no safety harnesses and all this sort of stuff, you look at that and you go, oh, gee, and what happens if they fall and break their arm or break their leg or die, right? There's no real healthcare system to look after them, that sort of stuff. So we've got some hard-fought achievements that the labour unions around the world have fought for, and that's fair enough. But the problem is that we are allowing, because of the safety rules, because of the minimum wages, because of all the conditions, we are then pricing ourselves out of the market because the consumer doesn't want to pay for it. And we are allowing countries that don't give their workers those benefits to undercut us on prices. Now, how is that fair? And once again, the major beneficiary of that is the big corporations, just like the mining sector of Western Australia. How much of that money actually goes into the West Australian economy? Most of the profits are shipped offshore. The iron ore is shipped offshore and then shipped back to us as steel. We don't even make that in this country anymore. I mean, it's a debacle, and that's where I think we need to collectively. I don't really care if you're centre left, centre right, whatever. We all kind of agree government's the problem, and we need to collectively get these people and say, hey, listen, knock it off. We'll tell you how this shit runs, not the other way around.
I've just had a great idea for a fundraiser. So thank you for this one, Shaq. So talking about the things getting cheaper in other countries where they don't have the safety regulations and all that sort of stuff. Yep. You know what we need to do?
What's that?
We need to find a shirt printer in WA, and then what we'll do, all the people that have donated like half decent amounts of money to your GoFundMe account, we'll get all their faces and we'll patch it all over the shirt, and then we'll have this is what freedom of speech looks like.
Oh, I love
this
that.
is the love of the community or something like that. We'll just have it as a special edition shirt just for those guys.
Well, for that,
I think that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and
do
for an
have
extra
a local
$3,
person.
they could have a shirt themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do actually have fantastic people here. Christy from GP Designs here in WA, who does our T-shirts for our Freedom of Speech Matters T-shirts. So she's wonderful and she's local, and I'd love to do something like that with her. Okay, cool.
If I can find it, I've got my Make America Great Again shirt. I also actually have a I'm with her shirt because, I'm an idiot and I collect political memorabilia from everywhere. So I've got both shirts. It's just right here. I'm not sure where the I'm with her shirt is, but the Make America Great Again shirt is here. And I think this is the sort of perfect irony that that we get, right? Because it's from a company here called Delta Pro Weight, who are in Duluth, Georgia, a place that I know for whatever reason quite well. But have a look at where it's made.
China.
Not
Is it China?
Not China.
Where?
Oh, you're moving around, so I can't tell. You'll have to read it to a shack.
Made in Mexico. I'll just hold it up a little bit.
Made in Mexico.
Mexico.
Well, look, we always talking about our
this
t-shirts.
is Donald Trump's. This is Donald Trump's shirt, and I know that the "I'm with her" shirts that Democrats had also weren't made in America. Like, really, guys? Like, you want to be the president of the country? Can you not? Like, come on. Like,
Well, I think the flag is also.
country.
I think the flag is also made offshore as well.
No,
American
I'll
flag.
throw this in. We went absolutely everywhere trying to find Australian-made shirts for Edge. Right?
Oh, they
Simple
don't
as that.
exist.
They do not exist. There is not a company in this country that actually makes them.
I think the closest one that makes them to Australia is Bangladesh.
And that's where we went. And basically, so we have Bangladesh T-shirts, but they are printed here in Western Australia.
You want to know something
That's
really,
the
really
best I
funny?
could do.
So the most anti-immigration political party in Australia would be arguably One Nation, or their One Nation hats are all made in China.
No way.
Yep.
That's just, that's embarrassing.
Well, no one makes the
reflection of
hats.
What's going on in this country? You go out to, I won't name the country, you guys can guess which one, but you go to, it's happened in a couple of countries I've been to, where you go to their national parliaments and look at the flags, only to find that the flags of those countries aren't even made there in what should be the most politically holy place of the country, is like the Capitol buildings and the Parliament buildings. And the flags aren't made. It's like, what are you doing? And the US, for example, where most of their flags, like over 90% of their flags, are made in the US. But you go to some certain places and you see flags that are American flags not made there, and you go, "What is going on? You can't do that." Yeah, look at penicillin. We have, every time there's a shortage of penicillin, penicillin prices go up through the roof. Now, this may not sound like a particularly big deal until you find out that there is only 4 penicillin manufacturers in the world. 4.
It's mold. How hard is it to make?
There's a tiny
There's a
small
heap of it in my fridge.
There's a tiny small one in Austria that doesn't even produce enough for Austria, and the other 3 are in China. Now, I've got nothing against China. There's nothing wrong with that. They've got a big population. But wait a minute. That's the entire world supply of penicillin? Why don't we have a penicillin factory down in, I don't know, inner city Melbourne, or Sydney, or near some of these medical schools, or somewhere in Western Australia near the universities where all the uni students, who are studying these sort of subjects and come out of. They've got great medical schools at UWA and ECU, etc.
Yeah,
you love this one, Shaq.
Producing
well,
this
those
stuff.
in inner city Melbourne, if you're looking for a place that needs penicillin, it's inner city Melbourne.
So this is something that Shaq will love. Okay. So in Australia, you're not allowed to have your refined uranium because it's dangerous for weapons and all that sort of stuff. But we actually have an active nuclear power plant. I think it's in Sydney or Melbourne, to produce all the radioactive waste that they use for cancer treatment and all that sort of stuff. So if we can have an active nuclear power plant inside of Sydney, why can't we have a nearly said Palestinian penicillin manufacturing thing, whatever, in Sydney or something?
There's no law that stops us from doing this. This is actually not because of bad government regulation. It's just because of costs. So in order to reduce costs, they're doing it over there. And the problem is, forget about a political tension issue with China. If they've got some sort of event, an earthquake or something that happens that disrupts the supply line, that's it. We run short of penicillin. Penicillin prices go up through the roof. It just doesn't make sense. Is that not a national security issue? And that's just one medication. I can name a whole heap of others. But is that not a really big problem?
We've got something we've got to do, and I think we need to reach out to Erica because she's saying that that she can put us in contact with an Aussie-made shirt company.
Oh,
I'm getting swamped with messages about getting onto that shirt.
Really? That's fantastic. Okay, well, Erica, please hook us up because, look, we did really genuinely try. And as I say, Christy has just done a wonderful job. She, went out of her way to try and source some for us. So it's important to me. It really is. I mean, I've got nothing against people from Bangladesh at all, but I've got great pride in manufacturing in this country, and I would rather do it. And, okay, yes, they're going to cost a little bit more, but I do not care.
Yep. And we'll you know what? Let's check another one. All proceeds will go to Aaron.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh.
I'll make an exception.
You know how I feel about it. You know how embarrassed I get about it, and you keep doing it.
I still remember that
just-
first time,
shameless.
donation to get the station up and running and off the ground.
Yes.
I had to get you absolutely plastered drunk before you would actually ask for any money.
I know.
That's,
It's a good technique. It works.
that's how bad this guy is about asking help. And it's like, ah. Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah,
move on.
it works,
Hey,
and we have a
Derek,
station.
let's talk about something finance related.
Okay. It's kind of related to finance, and you'll
Oh.
see why. Australian population could reach up to 45.9 million by 2071.
Right.
They're setting up new forecasts as to what will happen.
Wow.
We're expecting the population to double in the next 5 decades, and that, well, from an economy perspective, is where is everybody going to live? We're already having issues with that right now.
Mm.
When we go, oh well, let's take in $1.56 million migrants
Yeah.
into the country. Where they're going to go? Australian Bureau of Statistics on Wednesday's forecast that we could surge by 45.9 million under its gross projection. Up from today, we've got about 26.5 million to put that in perspective in the population. So this has all these interesting economic perspectives. I also think it's quite ironic when the globalists want to reduce population.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this
and
is
look,
going
it's going to
counter.
be okay.
I'm glad to hear this kind of talk coming out.
But we're not filling the middle of the country. Like people
No.
look at from other countries, people look at Australia. It's huge, and so few people
No,
live here.
I think it's 2 people per square kilometre. Like, that's Australia wide.
Okay, but
It might
hang
be
on.
more now.
Yeah, but let's put in perspective. Okay, people live in the cities, and if you
Yeah.
at the moment in Sydney, right?
no,
Parramatta's-
they literally live in the city, like on the cardboard box in the corners and
Yeah,
stuff like
they
that. The homeless rate in Australia is insane.
But
so-
I'm telling you right now, okay, Parramatta is becoming an inner city town.
What you've got to look at is how does this influence the economy,
Yeah.
and also, of course, the aging population. Because for an economy to grow, it needs to be having more, its population growth needs to increase, whereas we're kind of in a neutral state where
Sure.
our birth is actually going backwards,
Yeah.
our death rate is going up,
oh, gee, I wonder what caused that.
and
Yeah.
you've got to get the balance
Imagine.
right. We're seeing this problem in China. Now,
Sure. Oh, hugely.
decades ago, China, of course, had the big population that they wanted. They were pushing that. Then they went to the one-child policy.
That's right.
And now we've got a generation who is paying for that. And
A very male generation because they used genocide against female babies before they were born. But that's a whole other story.
but you're seeing the economic pressures on the nation now because of that.
Oh,
Sorry, your microphone was coming out.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So, watch that space because you've got to see the population growing. And they're saying this is a way that if we don't take new migrants, we're going to slip into continual recessions and this sort of thing.
Well, hang on, but we've got too many people apparently. Come on. Like, what is it? Come on, make a decision here. Do we have too many people? Are we destroying the earth because we've got too many people? Or do we need to double the population of Australia? We have no infrastructure, and obviously
Spot
over
on. That's the
time
problem
we
there.
will build
We
it.
don't have infrastructure.
Exactly, but we don't have the facilities to build it. We don't have the environment to build
Okay.
it.
Let me throw it to you this way.
No,
Do we need a lot of the
that's
infrastructure
because-
that they insist we have? Do we need a lot of it, right? Why is it, if you had, and you've gone on about this, we had sewage that was in septic tanks rather than on the centralized system.
Yep.
Wouldn't that reduce the population, the cost of developing places because they want everybody on the grid?
Yeah.
But the other
spot
thing
on.
as well with that is the infrastructure, getting the septic tanks put in is still infrastructure. Having the roads who bring the septic tanks out to the house is still
Sure.
infrastructure. The houses still need
True.
power. Like, as great as solar panels are, there's still not enough to do what we need to do. So people are still going to need jobs. They're still going to need to feed themselves. They've still got to have farms and processing units and all that sort of stuff.
Well-
and we don't have that.
You have a look at the crap that they're telling us, right? If they just wanted natural growth in the population, they'd be encouraging young people to have children. They would subsidise
Yeah.
their ability to buy a home for themselves. Okay, they would do all sorts of things. And just have a listen to what Michelle Bullock said the other day when she was
Right.
announcing that Australians should get ready for yet another rate increase. Okay, it's the governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia.
Sure.
She said that she was concerned about the increase in population because of the new immigrants coming in, and that she was concerned that wages were growing too fast.
No way.
So if you think that the cost of living's bad right now, just hold your horses just a little bit, because they would rather your cost of your wages go down. This is what they're planning at the moment. So you're going to have a higher unemployment rate. You're going to have less wages, still with inflation, which means that your buying power over time gets lower. And, hey, the Labor Party's way of fixing all of this is to increase taxes. Yes. This is such a shock. And this is the problem. So I don't have a problem with our population growing just naturally, but it's not doing that. And their solution to the aging population crisis, when we've got an aging population, we don't have enough workers, isn't to help young people. No. Get them to go on puberty-blocking medication and tell them that the nuclear family is a terrible idea, and then go and import nuclear families from other cultures. That's the Australian plan that the governments have come up with. What nonsense.
All right, look, we have to wrap up. I want to throw to Derek for some final words.
Right. Okay.
It was his show, but I think you got that two sentences.
I'm throwing it back to him.
Okay. I think we've just highlighted the need for a bit of love.
Yeah.
Right? And genuine love. And it sounds cliche, but look, what is greater love? There's no man than this, that he laid down his life for a friend.
Yeah.
We've got a friend here who needs love. We've got people in relationships who genuinely need love and doing it tough as well.
So true.
And it's not a word that you normally associate with business and finance and all that sort of thing. But hey, it's what's needed. It's what our hearts cry out for.
Yep.
And
I totally agree.
It's sacrificial love as well. And that's a big difference between what you're seeing on the Hollywood screen. So guys, yeah.
I have to do a quick shout out to Lucy. She's been commenting like a trooper, showing lots of love. Erica, Christian, and Christy, all the people, Catherine as well, another long-time supporter of the show. I'll just flash her message again. Wow, that nearly came across really badly. Just flash her again. So I just want to say thanks to, and David is another one who's jumped in a lot. Damien, there's been a lot of people who have been showing, in particular, the person who needs to be shown a lot of love at the moment is good old Aaron over there. It's so weird seeing you without a loud shirt, so I think we really need to get that shirt with the faces sorted out. I think
absolutely. I love that idea, mate. I love that idea.
And we need to make sure people do reach out to the GoFundMe. I'm hunting down the GoFundMe link again so I can flash that up again. Hang on. What's this one? No, that's the We Love Shaq one.
Look, while he's doing that again.
There's a couple of those. Those are good ones.
There it is. GoFundMe.
Right,
there it is. Anyway, so just make sure you do head over to the. Oh, that's my Carter's Corner one. Let's use the Edge one. Where is it? There it is. So go to the GoFundMe, donate what you can, and if you do want to help the station continuously, just go to edgeradioaustralia.com and hit the subscribe, join now button, and you can sort it all out from there.
Now, this show is called The Greater Wealth.
Even though we don't talk about wealth at all.
Even though we don't really talk about wealth. Well, we do, right? And the fundamental thing that this man over here, Derek's brought to my life is, and I know I say it all the time, and I'm going to keep saying it, and I don't think it's ever been more prevalent than right now, okay, is that, this is about finding your life purpose, okay? And I have found mine, okay? Good. And I think that being in this position to be able to connect with so many people on so many levels and share the amount of love and information and community. I just want to build a community, right? Where we can say what we think. We're not being censored. It's so important. So find your life purpose. It's imperative. My other life purpose is to one day be reunited with my beautiful children. It means absolutely everything to me. And I won't go into details, but a friend of mine, because of this, has been reunited with his daughter. And that's just the most wonderful thing. And I'm so happy for him after being alienated. So, let's move forward. Let's be positive about life. And
one final quote from Lucy. I'm here today for Aaron. Love you, mate.
Thank you, Lucy.
I think that's a great way to end the show. So this is Edge Radio Australia, all in favour of Aaron. Or to help Aaron, I should say. So
it's a greater wealth on Edge Radio Australia.
Oh, I was hoping for a tear.